And like you said on that podcast that you did about what it takes to become a professional fisherman here in the Keys, is you do have to live in your car. You do have to scrub toilets. You do have to go through that, and you do have to put in your time. And I was lucky enough to be taken in by a wonderful family at Bud Mary's Marina, the Stanziks.
Yeah. And
they are just a God blessing to me. They started my career, and I got to learn so much, and I got to work in the tackle shop and see the day-to-day in and outs of charter business, and to watch these customers come in, because no matter what you do, customer service is number one, whether you're in the healthcare world or whether you're in the fishing world. This is Captain Deb Deyo, and I'm with Blue Water Girl Charters, and this is the Tom Rowland Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast today. I love to find stories of people that change their life, people that pursue their passion, people that make it happen, do something extraordinary, do something that people thought that they couldn't do. People, doubters. People think it's impossible to go down to the Keys and become a fishing guide, but it's not. And our guest today, Captain Deb Deyo, Blue Water Girl Charters, she did just that. With $300 in her car, she goes down there. She followed all the advice that I've given out before, and many others have given out, that if you really want to do something, start at the bottom, do whatever it takes, make it happen. And that's exactly what she did. This is an inspiring story, and I hope you stick around for this entire interview with Captain Deb Deyo of Blue Water Girl Charters. All right, Deb, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing well. Doing very well. Outstanding, in fact.
Thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you for doing this, and thank you for the note that you wrote. That was really, really cool. I just thought it was really cool. That first of all, I couldn't believe that I've been doing this podcast long enough for somebody to get inspiration to go get their captain's license and start a business. It seems like I started it yesterday. But tell me your story. Like, what's going on? You're a charter guide now in Key Largo.
Yes.
So how did it happen? What's the story?
Well, I started fishing the Florida Keys at age 5 with my mom and dad, and I fished offshore, inshore until I was like 20 years old, and just moved back and had a life in North Carolina, and graduated college, had a career in healthcare. And one day I woke up and I was like, you know what? I really want to fish, and you're such an inspiration because, you've taught me so much from my couch.
Really?
To become who I am today.
Really?
Yes.
Like what?
Yes, absolutely. Anywhere from knots to stalking a snook and the right jig head to use and the tackle. And you're an online teacher, and you have really inspired a lot of people you probably don't know that you have.
Well, I may not know that. I mean, I know that a lot of people watch some of the stuff, but that's very nice of you to say. But I'm interested in like this day that you wake up and you decide that you really just want to fish. So you're in the healthcare world. What are you doing there?
I was doing corporate healthcare. I'm a nurse, and did a bunch of corporate healthcare, and life was stressed out. It's that 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And, you wake up one day and you're like, I really want to change, but how do you do that? Well, you take $300 in your vehicle and you drive south as far as you can go.
Is that what you had? Really? You had $300 and your vehicle?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. And like you said on that podcast that you did about what it takes to become a professional fisherman here in the Keys, is you do have to live in your car. You do have to scrub toilets. You do have to go through that, and you do have to put in your time. And I was lucky enough to be taken in by a wonderful family at Bud Mary's Marina, the Stanziks.
Yeah.
And they are just a God blessing to me. They started my career, and I got to learn so much, and I got to work in the tackle shop and see the day-to-day in and outs of charter business, and to watch these customers come in, because no matter what you do, customer service is number one, whether you're in the healthcare world or whether you're in the fishing world. It's all about who you have on your boat and what their experience and adventure is.
Man, that is awesome. So how from leaving North Carolina with $300 in your vehicle, how do you get hooked up with the Stanziks?
Well, I first started working at Robbie's Marina, flogging off pelicans off the tarpon dock.
Yeah.
That's how I first started. You know, when you live out your childhood dream, I guess you got to start from the bottom, and that's bottom. But, you know, I worked there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they were hiring at the tackle shop. So I applied for a job. And being a woman in this field is quite difficult in this sport, I call it. But you know, you just got to get up and you got to have tough skin, and you got to just get up and be the first one at the docks every morning and the last one to leave. And I would work my 8-hour shift in the tackle shop. And then I would go out in my skiff or the, you know, the bait skiff company used. And I learned how to backcountry fish. And then I started fishing with Richard, Nick's father, Nick and Rick's father.
What a legend.
And I've done over 300 bonefish trips with him.
With him, like as a mate?
Yeah, as his mate.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
He is, I mean, I'm sure you know, but he is the legend of legends. I mean, I used to watch him with all the zinc oxide. Does he still put the zinc oxide everywhere?
Absolutely.
He would just put it on like so much and so thick. I mean, I'm assuming that he has some areas on his face that he's got to be super careful of and has for a while, but he would put that zinc oxide on, and I would see him in Saltwater Sportsman, and I would see him in every magazine. And I was like, man, he's the guy. I mean, especially in downtown Islamorada, when the big bonefish were there. I mean, he was the man. He really was. Yeah. So you had the opportunity to do 300 trips with him. Starting when?
Yes, over the last 3 years.
Over the last 3 years. So this is really interesting because as you know, the days of the giant Islamorada bonefish are not quite the same as they once were.
No.
So what's his opinion on that? I mean, I would love to ask him that one day, but you know, when he's going fishing and you're doing these 300 charters with him, are you bone fishing or are you doing something else?
Yeah, it's a combination between bonefish and permit, tarpon, whatever. Depends on the time of the year, but his passion is definitely bone fishing. But he showed me the light of the Florida Bay and the adventures you can have, and just showed me the serenity that it can give you. And the backcountry does something to your soul. And his wisdom and his teachings provided me the path of where I'm at now and being able to fish. And it's you know, I started in a bait shop. I started catching bait every day, you know, and then come to now I have, you know, a backcountry boat that I run, and I absolutely are loving life, and it's because of that family. Yeah,
well, that's amazing, and we're going to get to how what you're doing right now, but I'm just interested in the takeaways that you would get. I mean, the opportunity that you had. That you have and that you had to do 300 trips with Richard Stanzik. That is an amazing opportunity that really anyone that knows anything about South Florida history of fishing would be very impressed with. So I'm just wondering, like, what are the big takeaways when you think about those days that you spent with him, and then how you apply it to your life or how you apply it to your new career? What are the big takeaways that you have?
Probably the biggest one is patience. And, you know, you never leave until you're finished. And there ain't no damn crying in baseball neither. And, you know, you just got to do it. And he was a big motivation and a big coach and a mentor towards me. And he allowed me to show other people now what his skill and his level, and I'll never, ever, ever be anywhere close to his level, but just having his company and just having, you know, to be able to spend that time with him and learn from a legend himself. You know, when you love fishing like you do and like I do, you know what kind of company that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so how did that opportunity present itself? I mean, you're working in the tackle shop, you're catching bait in the mornings. How did that progress to actually going out and being, a mate for Richard Stanzik?
Well, he takes his employees out fishing with him, some, and, we got to the point, and I think that he saw the passion that I have for bonefish. I eat, breathe, and sleep it. And I have tunnel vision when it comes to fishing. And I've done that for the last 3 years. You got to grind every day. And it just, I guess when you share the same passion as someone else, it's easy to get along with on a flat. And I would consider him such as a father figure and a mentor. And he's really shown me the light and also, showed me a new life, a happy one.
Mm-hmm. And so, but at one point you're just kind of an employee that he's taken out fishing, and then obviously something changes there to where he's like, I think you're better suited out here than you are in the bait shop because you're spending 300 days out there or 300 trips with him. Right. So was there a moment or a time where he kind of transitioned you out of the bait shop into, full time on the boat?
No, that's when Corona happened. That was coming. And then the Corona started, and, we were shut down, and nobody knew what was going to happen at that point. So I actually, just moved to Key Largo because I had to, and, started it from there and went from there. So it's a really kind of a weird fireball that just went on because of Corona. It allowed me to start my business, but then it also, took me away from that magical experience that I had fishing with legendary Captain.
Mm-hmm. And so when all this happens, you have to move to Key Largo. Did you have your captain's license yet?
Yes.
You
so
did?
I waited to get my captain's license. I waited 2.5 years before I applied for one, even though I had the hours because I own my own vessel in North Carolina. But I didn't want to step on anyone's toes when I got here. And I wanted to pay my dues, and I wanted to come in, and I wanted to learn. And, the biggest thing sometimes about a fisherman is their ego. And I decided that I just want to learn from the legends. I want to learn how to do this the correct way. And so I waited a little while, and then I went online, and you probably know Mr. Flynn Smith.
Oh, yeah. I want to have him on the podcast so bad.
Yes.
He has been responsible for virtually every fisherman's captain's license that you've ever heard of.
Yes.
I mean, he is
an amazing man.
He
and his
really
life
is
amazing. Yeah. So I'm getting ready to go back and get my master's.
Okay. Did you do it on his boat? Was he doing that with COVID now? Because there was one point where he had a boat, and he would take the students out in the boat, and you would actually fire the flares, and you would do all this. I was before that, and then the boat came later, and then I don't know what the status of the boat is now. But that guy is basically responsible for so many captain's licenses. I mean, pretty much everybody I ask, I got it from Flynn Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, and a tropical fish collector. Yeah, I did the
whole program online, and it was wonderful. And they test on Saturdays, and he goes through the whole entire thing. It's like being in the classroom. You're just going through all the techniques online and on the computer.
Where did you take your test?
Down in his house.
You did?
Yes.
And he didn't have that ability when I was there, and Miami was not exactly the way that it is today. And I remember you had to go to the Claude Pepper building in Miami, right? That was the name of the government building there. And at the time, I don't know if Miami was just not as nice as it is today, or if I just picked the wrong area and the wrong hotel. But I will never forget going up there. I was super nervous because this was my test. I was supposed to take the captain's license. I had done his class, but then we were going to go up to Miami. So I didn't have anybody to go with. I go by myself, and I just get a room at the closest hotel because you had to be at the door of that Claude Pepper building or wherever we had to go. We had to be at the door at like 6:30. So there wasn't going to be a lot of time in the morning to get there. So I just picked the closest hotel, which was a bad choice. It was a horrible choice. And I remember this was the worst hotel I've ever stayed in. I went there and I think I was staying on the 14th floor, and it was really pretty high, maybe even higher. And I opened the door and I was like, whoa, this place is rough. And, and I closed the door, and there are like 6 locks on the back of the door. And then there's one of those bars that you put up against the door, and it has like a thing in the floor. And then, so I started locking all those doors. I guess these are here for a reason. And I lock all those doors, and then I'll go over to the balcony, and we're on the 14th floor, and there are all these locks on the balcony door. And I was like, people are going to crawl up here and get in here. Like, that's what they're worried about. And we're on I looked out over the balcony really high. That was the worst hotel I've ever stayed in. And I did get up in the morning and went and took the test. And
you actually slept?
I don't know if I slept much, but that was terrible. Now, going back to Miami, like when I go for the Miami Boat Show or whatever, I've looked for that hotel, and I'm pretty sure almost 100% that it's been torn down and replaced with something much nicer, like a Whole Foods or something really nice. But I don't know what that hotel was. Some person that lived in Miami all their life, they probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But I hope your experience taking the test was not that. That's what I remember. It was, I didn't know if I was going to make it back to Key West. But anyway, so you get this license, and then what?
And I start fishing. Every day. I fished 300 days in 2020.
Wow. And so you got your own boat, or how did you?
Yeah, I do. I have a 16-foot Chaos.
Okay.
Bonefish edition. Beautiful. She's got white gunnel. She's got that Carolina flare.
Nice.
I love that.
And so you're able to buy this boat from working at the tackle shop and and going out and being a mate. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then I took a job running I took a job as a mate on a 30-foot game fisherman here in Key Largo. And that's really kind of what moved me to Key Largo, because I had I had the backcountry boat, but I did that more for fun, but I had to make money somehow. So I took a job as a mate, and something happened to the captain, and I said, well, you can run this boat, you do it. So here I am running a 30-foot game fisherman, single rudder, single screw, 315 Yanmar. It's quite a big change from a backcountry boat to an offshore boat.
Wow. And
so I run that now and run a few trips on it, and but my love is in the backcountry. I want to be there full time.
So what will it take for you to get back there?
I don't know.
Are you running any trips in the backcountry right now? Or
I'm doing some bonefish charters and stuff like that. And I do some stuff offshore. And then I also work I'm kind of running a boat, but in the process of learning, because all of us captains, we always just want to learn. So I'm actually running a private gig down in Key West on a 70-foot Hatteras.
All right. Good. Well, you're at both ends of the Keys. You couldn't be further apart from your two jobs.
Yeah. So, but offshore is what I grew up doing with my father. So I enjoy the troll. And, but it's something about sight casting and something about being out there in skinny water and seeing the monsters and that come out of there, and the environment around you and the serenity of just watching nature.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do.
So if you were to blue sky it, and what kind of customer base would you most like to have if you were able to fish like that every day? What kind of customers would you most like to have?
I'm really big in promoting women's fishing. Mm-hmm. I'm on a board called Sisterhood Fishing, and there's a bunch of us that fish all around the United States. And I travel and fish with them, or they come down here and fish with me. And I want to introduce women into this sport and show them that, they can, I go to the boat ramp and I put my skiff in every day and I take it out every day by myself. You can, you can do anything that you put your mind to as long as you have passion for it. So, and that's what I do. But promoting women and bringing them in the sport and showing them that, the outdoors is fun, and the beaches on the islands, or the crocodiles, or the roseate spoonbills. I mean, just the nature out there. But women and children and small families are definitely in what I enjoy teaching.
Why do you think there are not more? I mean, like when you explain that to me, you're like, you want to promote that. Why is it a challenge? Why are there not more women in fishing? Why is it a male dominated sport?
Because fishing's hard.
And that's why women don't like it? But women do like it. Like, that's what I'm saying.
They love it. Absolutely. But it takes a lot. I put in 14, 15-hour days every day when I fish, and I'm at the boat ramp before dawn, and I'm back at sunset or a little after. And, and then by the time I get home and I wash my skiff, and I'm putting in some days and some hours.
Well, yeah, of course, that's on the guide side, but let's put yourself in the position of just an angler, just a tourist. Why, in your opinion, as a woman that likes to fish, why is it that more women, like we always talk about, like the growth of fishing is going to be in women and in children. And that's mostly because it's a male dominated sport right now.
Correct.
What are the reasons? Why do you think that is? I mean, you just said that you're doing 15-hour days, but you don't necessarily do that as just a tourist. You could take a half day. Why is it that fishing is thought of as male?
And I think that when you get to offshore and inshore, I've seen a lot more women into this sport, and I've seen these flats guides and backcountry guides, and there's women on board now. I think that it's coming more and more, and especially since when Corona happened, more women are getting outdoors and they're seeing that. So, and they'll enjoy it. I'm not really sure why women aren't taking over the outdoors, honestly, but I absolutely love it. I have no problems, absolutely no problems being on a boat all day. Some women just don't like that sun. Some women just don't like that experience. So,
some men don't too.
Exactly. It's cup of tea.
Yeah.
What is your cup of tea?
Yeah. But I always wonder, when you talk about growing fishing as a sport, one of the biggest things is that fishing and hunting both are kind of a passed down sport, kind of a passed down tradition. So if your grandfather likes to fish and they teach you how to fish as a child, then you take that with you for your life. And it seems like for a while before Corona, that was something that the fishing industry was kind of like, wow, we're losing kids. We're not getting these new kids. We're not getting this. And especially in the hunting of, how do you incentivize people to pass it down? What are the reasons why, kids aren't necessarily fishing? That's pretty easy to me. I mean, there's video games, there's computers, there's good stuff on TV. There's a million reasons why they might want to stay inside. That there's a dopamine hit every time they touch their social media. There's lots of reasons. But with women, I just kind of wonder what the major challenges are. I mean, I'm sure it's really hard to walk into a tackle shop full of a bunch of dudes drinking coffee and telling jokes, and you're kind of like, okay, I need a dozen shrimp. That's kind of an uncomfortable situation, but that's an uncomfortable situation for somebody from out of town. That's an uncomfortable situation from if you've never walked into the tackle shop before. It makes it even doubly uncomfortable, probably, if you're a woman. But what do you think are the big challenges to overcome? What were the barriers?
Probably the biggest challenge is couples fishing. A lot of women, they want to either go with their husband or they want to go with their significant other, whatever. But if women would come together and fish together as a friendship and a bonding thing, I think that would inspire so many, because when you're around a strong woman, determination happens. Good things happen out of that. So, getting more women together and fishing together versus, let your husband go out with this backcountry guide and you go out with me, and we'll see, what we can do. But it's a different experience when you have a woman on the boat, I think. And it's a different experience when you have a woman in the tackle shop. And, those women were more comfortable when they came in. They buy that dozen shrimp or whatever they were buying at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's teaching from the beginning. It's teaching, this not, and, just getting them in and getting them involved. And then once they get involved, their children become involved. I was extremely lucky to have both of my parents into fishing, and I did it a lot. And I knew at like age 10, I was going to be a tour captain.
Yeah.
I knew.
Really?
I just knew. Yeah, I knew.
Oh, that's
I knew
cool.
that when I was here at the Keys that I was going to be back here one day. I just didn't know when. So
that's terrific.
Yeah.
There is something to the women getting together, and several of our other guests. I've had Cheyenne Orvis on. She does a bunch of women's trips where they get together, and she just kind of tries to make it real casual, where you just get together, no dumb questions. Let's just show you kind of a few things. The Gale Force twins, they're doing a good job of that.
Yes, they are.
Yourself,
great girls.
Yeah, they really are. They're awesome, man.
They're
I
an
like
inspiration to women anglers out here, and a lot of the kids. And another one of your guests is Chasten. She's
of course. She was the first guest.
As well. Yeah, so she is. I remember seeing her walk the docks at Bud Mary's and fishing with Nick before, and she's really made leaps and bounds, and such a wonderful heart that girl has.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's been true to her mission since before I even knew her. And that was what drew me to her, was like, this girl's like really trying to do something much bigger, by helping others. And that was the reason that I reached out to her. And yeah, she was the first podcast guest. Yes. She's great. I really
That's
like
awesome.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? What are you fishing much now? Right now?
Yeah, I fished 2 days ago. I went bone fishing 2 days ago. I still trailer my skiff down to the Lorelei and put in and go from there, because a lot of your nice downtown Alamorado flats are right off of there.
Are.
So
what's your opinion of the bone fishing? You seem to be doing a ton of it with Richard Stanczyk. You're doing a ton of it yourself. What's your opinion of the Alamorado bone fishing right now?
Well, of course, I believe, like you said earlier, it's definitely not what it used to be. I've seen some videos that would just absolutely blow anyone's mind of the tailors that used to happen. And we just don't have that now. But when we had, that fish kill back in 2016, I think it took a lot of the bonefish away, and now they're starting to come back. I caught quite a few the other day, and it depends on, what the conditions are, but our flats are coming back. Our grasses are starting to grow. They're starting to, when you get up to a flat and you pull onto a flat and you see nothing but nature around you and activity, and you want to see that. And luckily come back into that, downtown Alamorado, that's all starting to come back. And even our oceanside flats are too. So I'm very excited about this season with bone fishing, and the more that I can get out there and the more I can chase those fast suckers, I will.
And what's your favorite way to fish for them? Do you like to fly fish for them or bait chum?
I'm a bait. Yeah. Like spin tackle bait. And I do fly fish. I don't do it as a guide. I'm not there yet. But I do enjoy it. Yes.
What about Richard Stanzik? What's his bait of choice? Is he a shrimp guy or a crab guy?
He's a shrimp guy. Of course he is.
Matter of fact,
I used to take care of his shrimp for him.
And why don't you tell me how he likes to have his shrimp taken care of? I could probably learn a thing or two.
So, it's just, he has to have the most perfect shrimp. They have to be all hand picked. They have to be a certain size. They have to do this. And, when you are legendary on what you do and you're known for that, then you're going to learn the best. So like, I remember this one trip he was getting ready to go to the Bahamas and blue marlin fish. And he was like, I need some bait and this and that. So we went and I caught like 43 ladyfish that day. We sat out there in the mud and we just tossing jigs and catching all these ladyfish. I had ladyfish slime from head to toe.
I guarantee you. I mean, you did.
I smelled awful.
That's the dirtiest terrible. Fish there is in the ocean.
Nastiest, stinkiest, but it's easy to rig when you're marlin fishing. And, it's stuff like that. And, we get 1,000 shrimp in from the shrimp truck, and I'm over there at the bait sealing machine for 2 or 3 hours, sealing up shrimp so he can take it on his plane and go bone fishing over there. Bait matters. When you have fly fishing, you're going to tie, of course, you're going to tie everything and do that yourself. But when it comes to bait, it's the number one thing here in the Keys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the supply of bait, what did you see for a big marina like Bud and Mary's? Did their shrimp, did they have difficulty getting any baits? I don't usually stop in there to get bait, but I don't know what their bait situation was throughout the Corona.
Well, usually of all the bait shops in the Upper Keys down to past where you are, Bud and Mary's usually does have the bait more than anyone. But that's because of the relationship of the bait suppliers throughout the years. And, when you have certain things, if you got the shrimp, boats going out and it's windy, you're not going to get big shrimp, you're going to get little shrimp. So you got to just determine, but you got to have a backup plan because some days those shrimp don't come.
Right. Yeah. But they don't come to smaller marinas and obscure marinas more often than they don't come to Bud and Mary's. I mean, Bud and Mary's that's a king marina. I mean, that's
sport fishing capital of the world in Isla Mirada. And if you talk to any charter captain, any guide, at one point, they either worked or mated or were on a boat at some point of their career at Bud and Mary's Marina. So, it's the number one spot to be, and it's a good place to, and it's a family place, and it saved my life. I did have to say that.
Yeah. How? Yeah.
Just introduced me to a passion that I never thought that it could take me to where I am today.
Yeah. So where were you and where are you today?
Well, when I started here, I was living in my car, and I didn't know how to chase bonefish. And now I go out and I put a smile on my face every day, and I get up and it motivates me to get out there and chase fish. And, and I'm pretty big on Instagram and Facebook with my videos and stuff. And I want to be someone's eyes out there, someone who can't get off the couch, someone that's in a wheelchair, someone that's, someone that needs just a little bit of happiness during the day, and go ahead and show them those 15-second videos or something like that. And it just makes me feel good as well as the people that's watching them.
Awesome. I love that. That's so cool. Well, I want to ask a technical question as you, because you do a lot of bone fishing and you've done it with the king of bone fishing. What kind of hook are you using when you're doing your shrimp? Or Richard's doing his shrimp, I guess. That's really the question I'm asking. What hook does Richard Stanzik use?
Oh boy, you're trying to get me in trouble, ain't you?
Well, I wouldn't say in trouble. I mean, he sells. I'm sure that he sells them right in the tackle shop. It's public information. It's just which one that he actually picks himself.
Yes. So it is a wide gap worm freshwater hook, and the reason is because when a bonefish picks up, they pick up in their crushers. So they'll hold the bait like this. And what that allows to do is it allows, if you use a regular J hook or a circle hook, that hook, they will gut them. So they'll gut swallow them and you'll end up killing the bonefish. With that wide hook, not only can you put a little bit more shrimp on there, but you can also prevent that hook from sliding down their throat and killing them. Mm-hmm. So it's more of trying to not kill the fish more than it is of that. Yeah.
Is it offset, the one that you use?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a really good, a wide gap offset. That was one of my favorite hooks that I liked, a 3/0 which was this I used to use this one. It was a Matsuo, and I don't know if that company's still in business or not, but they had a really nice bonefish hook, and it was a wide gap offset standard J hook, just like you're talking about. And I learned that trick from that's what Mark Croco used, something similar, and I was like, whatever he uses, I'm on board. Like obviously he's catching a lot of fish. So, and it it certainly did improve my fishing right away, because I was using some other kind of hook. Couldn't rig the shrimp right, and then once I got, that longer shank, wide gap, then it was almost like it went to almost 100% hooking right away. It's amazing what a little detail like that can do.
Yeah. And another thing is, like, even the length of your leaders to your hook size to your reels and your drag set and everything, it's all into a one motion. It even comes down to how many buckets you have in the boat. I mean, it's
how many buckets you have in the boat? What do you mean?
Yeah, because, well, you want to only take out a few shrimp at a time to put in your bucket and leave the rest of them in live well. So, I mean, you got to have that. So there's a different technique to different things that we do. But, being in that routine with him, he got me to where I did the same thing over and over again for like 10 or 12 trips. And I was like, okay, I got it. I get you. I understand. And, he told me more than one time, there ain't no crying in baseball. And, it's, you get up and you do it. And if I didn't have that, I don't know where I would be today, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fishing there's lots of things that can provide that for lots of people, but mostly it's passion. Mostly it's passion, mentors. That tends to be a really good way to get somebody out of a funk, to get yourself out of a funk, to change your life, to do whatever. But if you have a mentor that has tremendous passion for what they do, they're super professional, man, that's a really good place to find yourself. Especially if it's something that you also have passion in and you want to do. That's a tremendous opportunity. So now you have this other opportunity where you're running the big charter boat and your bonefish boat. So you want to be fishing in the backcountry all the time, but you're still fishing on the big boat. Do you see that changing anytime soon, or do you want to? What do you want to do?
I'm looking about purchasing another skiff. My 16-foot Chaos, comfortably. When you're polling, it's one person boat. And I want to maybe get like a bay boat or something like that where I can take families out or groups of women. But my Chaos is my little play toy. I do a lot of solo fishing. It's how I relax. It's how I, make sense of this crazy world we live in as I go out and I hunt fish. Just like when September comes and I'm in North Carolina hunting deer, it's the same way. So it's something that, but I want to get, some kind of like small bay boat, like a Contender, something like that. And, or even a yellowfin, man, those are sweet as sweet can be. But
I know a couple of guys that have those. They're really nice.
They are very nice. But yeah, I mean, you never, I like running the big boat. It fuels my adrenaline of offshore fishing, but it's also very rough on the body. And here, me being 40 years old, I've got to kind of watch what I do and how I treat my body now. So, and in the backcountry, it's just pure relaxation with a little bit more excitement when a bonefish hits.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the bay boat would be a great choice, because I mean, when my kids got to be, a little older, it was just kind of like the skiff was a great opportunity to go out, and it was very simple. But the gunnels are very low, and a little kid could easily topple over and go in. A little kid could walk right off the bow. And then when I got a bay boat, I had this one day where both my boys started getting a little bit older. They could communicate pretty well. And it's like, we going fishing, Dad? It's like, yeah, let's go. And so I've got both. I got a skiff on the trailer. I got the bay boat on the trailer. And I walk out the door. I'm like, well, which one do you want to take? And they looked at me like I was crazy. And they were like, that one. Like, why would we go in that one? And I was like, huh, I guess you're right. Like the skiff, and they were pointing at the bay boat. Like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one we're going in. Like, why would we want to go in the other one? I was like, I don't know. A lot of people really like going in the little one. Like, and they're like, we want to go in the big one. Okay. Yeah. So, but the bay boat's great because you can take so many more people, and then you can take bait all over the place. And it's just, it's a good business move to have a bay boat, I think. Not that you can't do it in a skiff, but a skiff is...
You can do it in a skiff, absolutely. You just have to, it's a certain clientele, and it's a certain, it's your VIP customers, I guess you want to call that. I don't know that the single tournament-wise fishing for that technical skiff. But, I can get into 5 inches of water.
Right.
And with my Stiffy hybrid, I can go anywhere I want to go, and I can catch redfish, I can catch snook, I can catch bonefish, I can catch tarpon, I can do whatever I want, go wherever I want. And I just installed Florida Marine Tracks on my new Simrad, and I tell you what, I'm not scared about going to explore now.
Yeah.
There's
a lot to explore.
There's a whole lot to explore,
lifetimes.
But now I feel safe now that I can do that. So, but I think honestly, like if you have the opportunity, you really need 3 or 4 boats to live here in the Keys. You need a skinny water skiff, you need a center console, and you need a bay boat, and you need an offshore boat. So, and then whatever you're going to go chase that day, you just pick whatever boat you want. Now that's in a dream world. Yeah. Maybe we'll get there.
You can also, you can get there for sure. You can make anything happen, but it's also nice to have friends. Like you got your friend that has a skiff, and you got like if you own a bay boat, then you got your friend that has a center console, and then you got your friend that has a big offshore boat, and then you don't actually have to own them all, because sometimes, like they said in Fight Club, sometimes the things you own will own you, and that is the way that it goes with multiple boats. Sometimes is the best thing you can do for a boat in saltwater, in my opinion, is to use it every single day. The worst thing that you can do for a boat in the Keys is to use it a little bit and then put it away for a long time and then get it out.
Leave the cover on it.
And expect everything's going to work when you get it back. And it usually doesn't. I mean, the salt, that is a really difficult environment. It is really rough on wiring. It's really rough on boats. I don't know. The best thing you can do is use it. The worst thing you can do is not use it. So I don't know. With multiple boats, you can only be on one every day. So the other 3 sit there, and that may not be the outcome that you were hoping for. Then it can be.
But I want to be on the water every day.
Yeah,
I want to be. I want to. What I really want to do, and I had this thing about this Keys slam thing that I want to make up, and it's catching a sailfish and catching a bonefish in the same day.
Okay.
And that is 2 of my favorite fish that I love to chase. And I think that's why I fish a little bit on the offshore side, and now fish on the inshore, too. And there's no fences in the ocean, but there's a way that you can to do both of those. 2 of the fastest fish here, and it's just something that excites me inside to catch either one of those.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you can certainly do that out of a bay boat on a nice day.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You can go out and catch a sailfish easy, and you can certainly catch a bonefish.
And that's probably the next move I'm making is a bay boat. I'm not ever going to get rid of my skiff though, because that's my baby.
Yeah.
So, but I think a bay boat would make a lot more sense right now versus a big offshore boat.
Cool. Well, when you inspire people, I'm sure you're getting some messages and emails about people seeing this big transformation you made in your life. What kind of advice would you give somebody that is in a place that they're not happy with right now or unsatisfied with? Maybe it's not a bad place. Maybe it's just a place that they don't particularly like, similar to the situation that you were in. What kind of advice would you give them? I mean, maybe they don't want to be a fishing guide, but maybe they want to do something else, but they're just unsatisfied where they are.
You got to change your life. You do. You just, you got to just full send it. Jump 2 feet in. You have to. And if you have a passion for something, it's going to lead you to great things. And I tell people that just don't give up. There is the light at the end of the tunnel. It may take you a while to get there, But as long as you have a good heart and you're good to people and you want no wrong for people, and that'll give you enough great karma to get through life. And as long as you don't do people wrong, and the world and the environment will take care of you.
Nice. I like that. What was the hardest thing for you in this whole journey, do you think, when you look back on it? What are the things that you're most proud of that you overcame, challenges that you overcame?
Just probably getting into this Islamorada fleet, that was a big challenge. Working in the tackle shop, I got to know a lot of the captains and a lot of the guides. And they're real people, and they're great people, and they're awesome fishermen. And, giving them, and I was booking charters and running bait and being able to give them that made them more respect me, because, I'm not following fishing for the money. I'm following it for the passion. I spent money. I spend money when I go fishing all the time, a lot of it. But, I think that just being a woman and getting into a skiff and getting on my own boat and becoming a captain, and I had some hard roads, but there is some wonderful people on this island. And Islamorada, they say it's the heart of the Keys because it's in the middle of the Keys, but it's the community there. Mm-hmm. It takes a village. It takes a village to raise a guide, they say. And it's very true. And if it wasn't for people on that island supporting me and giving me the opportunity to live my childhood dream, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
Well, there are a lot of good people there, and there's certainly a lot of good fishing guides, and there's certainly you have carved out a place for yourself, like in the most, I mean, really, when you think about it, you left with $300 in your car and you went to the most intimidating, the most competitive, the most challenging place that you could possibly go. I mean, maybe you could have showed up in Venice, Louisiana. That would be another one that would be intimidating and challenging and difficult to carve out a niche for anyone, no matter what your background was, no matter how good you were at fishing, no matter what. Like Islamorada, Key West, Venice, Louisiana. I mean, just as somebody that knows enough about fishing, those are three intimidating places. And that's and you were drawn to it, which is interesting to me. Like, it'd be one thing to like say you kind of went to Key Largo, which may not be quite as intimidating as Islamorada, but you went straight to the bullseye.
I put my feet in the fire.
Yeah. Did you think? I mean, it's a long drive from North Carolina to Islamorada. You could have stopped anywhere along the way. You could have stopped in Jupiter. You could have stopped in Boca. I mean, there's lots of places you could have.
I landed in Big Pine. I landed in Big Pine Key first, and that's kind of where I lived my childhood dreams.
That's where you went when you were a kid, to Big Pine?
Yeah, because that's where I went. I wanted to get back.
What was the connection to Big Pine?
My parents just fell in love with that island, and we stayed in a house down there's a little fishing lodge there called Big Pine Key Fishing Lodge. Yeah. And I remember when I was 5, we used to stay in a tent at the lodge, and then we would go and every year we'd increase our housing to get and stay there for the whole summer. But I went back to where I remember being happy. I was at a point in my life in North Carolina where I didn't know what the next day was going to bring. And I was not smiling at all anymore. And I just wanted to find my soul. And my soul came to Islamorada, and it came to flats fishing. It came to backcountry fishing. and just being a charter captain here, I'm on cloud 9 every day. Every day I wake up.
That's awesome. It's funny that you say you couldn't smile in North Carolina, because I think we've been doing this for 48 minutes, and I don't think you've stopped smiling since we started.
I know, that's the whole that's the whole thing about it. It's like, this is the first time in my life I've really been happy. And I'm happy chasing fish, and I'm happy showing people what it's like to be out there. So
you said you wanted to be a guide. You knew you wanted to be a guide when you were 10 years old, but then you go into nursing. Like, somewhere along the line, did it seem impossible? Like, or that's not something that you do, or it's not realistic? Why? I mean, where did you kind of abandon that dream?
Well, I got married and had a few children, and and life happened, and I'd watch you every Saturday morning. I'd watch my fishing shows every Saturday morning. I'd TiVo them, I'd DVR them, and when I'm watching TV, I'm watching fishing shows. And it's really the only thing that kind of made me relax. I worked corporate healthcare. I mean, you didn't smile on that job. I mean, there's people that can do that job, but it was very stressful. And it doesn't matter how many hours that I put in on my skiff now, it ain't one day compared to 1 hour on that job. So, it's it's crazy. On one day I was 35 years old, and I woke up and I was like, I hate this. What if I go down there, and what if I make it? What if, you don't think about your failures. You think about whether you get a fly or not. Go down.
You did. Not everybody does that. A lot of people look at that and they go, "What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I, all these things that talk themselves out of doing it." But it's interesting that you say you think about, what if I make it? Like, what if I make it? That's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, I always look at the positives instead of the negatives. You're going to be a whole lot happier.
Well, you do now, but did you always, like when you're in that healthcare job that you didn't like? Seems pretty easy to go to the negative.
In the last couple of years of my marriage, I didn't do that neither. So I mean, when you're looking to change your lifestyle, you're looking to change your whole entire life. People say, "Oh, you had a midlife crisis." Well, I hope my midlife ain't at 35, but whatever. I guess I did. I changed all my career, and I went to what follows me and my passion of fishing, offshore, inshore, bridges, wherever, is being on the water.
It's kind of funny. I don't know. It's become a theme of this podcast because I'm very interested in people that follow their passion, because that's what I did. I don't think I was. If you had looked at my upbringing, if you had looked at where I grew up, if you had looked at all these, I don't think I was supposed to be a fishing guide. I don't think I was supposed to be a TV host. I don't have any formal training in it. No one in my family did anything like this. It's just something that I really wanted to do, and I was very passionate about it. And it also saved my life. I'm sure of it. I have no idea what I would be doing if I didn't find fishing. I'd probably be dead or in jail, because I had no direction whatsoever. Nothing excited me.
Right.
I did not want to work a regular job, but once I found fishing, everything kind of lined up, and then I wasn't afraid to put the work in. I've always been a hard worker, but I wasn't a hard worker if I didn't care about it. Like, why do you want to work hard at something that you don't even care about? But,
right.
I don't know. I think I got off track there. I don't even know why I was saying that, but I know. It's become kind of a central theme of this, because I seek out these stories about people that do something like you have. Like, you were unhappy doing something else. You only have one life. We're only here once. So why do we want to go through it unhappy? So you make this change. But I know, because I made a big change in my life a long time ago, it's not easy. That's a hard decision. And sometimes you just make it and you go and you never look back. But other times there's all these things that you are thinking about that are like, what if I fail? What if there's all these uncomfortable situations that you get yourself in, and millions of chances for you to throw your hands up and say, I knew I couldn't make it. But the people that don't do that and actually follow through, I'm fascinated with those stories. And the central theme is that I see, like with your story and so many others, one comes to mind right away. Jessica Mills. I don't know if you listen to her podcast, but she's I call her one of my favorite guests, but I don't know. I mean, I like every guest that I've had. I really do. I like her story a lot because it's very much like your story. She went to Auburn. She gets to be an engineer. She gets a great job in an oil field in, I don't know, Oklahoma or somewhere. And she wakes up one day and she's like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is terrible. I don't want to do this. Yes, I know I'm going to make a lot of money next year, but I really don't want to do this. And so she goes back to something it's very similar to what you just said. She thought about what made her happy. Where is her soul? Where is her heart? And she goes back to the Appalachian Trail, because there was one time in her life where her grandmother took her someplace and she saw this sign and she said, "What's that?" And she said, "Oh, well, that's the Appalachian Trail." And she said, "What is that?" And her grandmother said, "Well, you could get on that trail right there and you could walk all the way to Maine." And that put like this thought in her head that subconsciously, I guess, is still there all the time. And she hadn't thought about it for years. And then she's out here in Oklahoma and she thinks, what would make me happy? And she immediately goes right there to the Appalachian Trail, like something that happened in her youth, and gravitates towards it and actually follows through and does it. And then she did the Continental Divide Trail and she did the Pacific Crest Trail. It's funny. She said, I don't know anything about camping. She's a triple crowner. Like, she knows a lot about camping, but she said, I thought it was kind of funny. She was like, well, I've only been camping 3 times. Once was the Appalachian Trail, once was the Continental Divide Trail, and once was the Pacific Crest Trail. I mean, that's like 6 months on each one, but
wow.
She says she's only been camping 3 times.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool how it's similar kind of theme that you gravitate back to something from your youth that made you super happy. And in your case, you follow through and you're doing it. I mean, I am. You wake up every morning and you're like, yes,
happy as can be.
I'm doing this. That's
I
awesome.
am doing this.
That's awesome.
And I hope I'm a good role model to women and to teenage girls and to follow their childhood dreams. And you do only live one time. And if you're not happy with your life, change it.
Wow. Well, you did.
I did.
Congratulations.
I sure did. Thank you.
I mean, it's super awesome. So if anybody wanted to go fishing with you, what would they do? How do they book you?
Yeah, they can look me up on Instagram and Facebook, Blue Water Girl Charters. Also have my own website, Blue Water Girl Charters at .com. And you can also reach me on the company phone at 305-896-3768.
Wow. Awesome. Well, I think you'll get some people to want to go fishing with you, because
I want to fish with you.
Yeah, well, let's do that. We should do that.
I would love to do that.
I want to. I want to learn all the Islamorada secrets.
I don't know about that now.
Well, I've fished in Islamorada a lot, but I've never fished with Richard Stanczyk, and you fished with him 300 times. So I'm pretty sure you know something I don't. I know that for sure. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll go fishing. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Well, good, man. Well, congratulations. I'm really excited for you. It's a inspiring story. It's a story of just making something happen.
Make it happen.
It's as simple as that. You weren't happy, you make it happen.
Jump 2 feet in and full send it.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast and telling your story. I really appreciate it. And if you're looking for a good fishing trip, this is definitely one. I would definitely go with her.
Yes.
And you would fish out of Islamorada. You'd fish out of Key Largo. You'll fish out anywhere?
I fish Upper Keys. I would say anywhere from Long Key to Key Largo.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that's I really love Lower Matacumbe, honestly. That's probably the in the downtown flats, but it's a special place.
Yeah, it is. All right, Deb. I know you got some fishing to do. You got
absolutely.
I'm
going tonight.
Are you?
I'm getting ready to leave now. Mm-hmm.
You going tarpon trip tonight, or what do you got?
No, I'm actually gonna go fish the last of the tide for the bonefish over here at the airport flat. So
get you off of those bonefish. Can't get off of the bonefish.
I can't get away from them. Well, I love them.
That's good.
They are so cool.
That's good. That's awesome. All right, Deb, thank you very much. And we'll have you on again.
All right. Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
See ya.